qualify around this. This is getting a little more challenging, I think, to manage based on kind of the experiences of getting deeper into this. So anyone have anything that they wanted to bring to the group from that respect? So lesson 26 was, lesson, I think, let's see, is it recording? Yes, it is. Okay. So lesson 26, just as a reminder, was my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. My invulnerability, right? So it's that idea that the fact that we have thoughts that we're vulnerable tells us that we do have attack thoughts, because if we're vulnerable, it means someone could attack us, and then we could attack as well. And so the lesson was to go into with your eyes closed, to kind of go deep and see what comes up. And then to manage it from that respect, from a concern, something that's keeping you awake at night, whatever that was. And the statement was, I'm concerned about blank. So getting really clear about what it is. And then we asked you to go through every possible outcome that you might have, that you've thought about, that would come up for you. And then and state that, right? I'm afraid this would happen. And then we ended it by saying that thought is an attack upon myself. So that idea that we want to start managing those thoughts that we have that aren't serving us. Really, and that's what attack thoughts are, right? They take away power. Now, I've got two questions for you, though, from yesterday. I just want you to think about these. You may want to write them down. We talked about in yesterday's lesson the law of perception. And perception becomes reality for us, right? I mean, so we've talked about that a lot, actually, through this whole time together. So my perception is my reality. Your perception is your reality, and they could be completely different. That being said, we've got to be really clear, though, that in the law of perception, it tells us that what you believe would have effects through you must also have effects upon you. So if perception is, it's my thinking does have impact on me. It's why we talked about there are no such thing as idle thoughts a couple of weeks ago. So if that's true, here's the question. How could you use that law of perception that says what you believe would have effects through you must also have effects upon you? How would you use that so that it would help you achieve your own goals? So we're kind of flipping the script in this question. So how would you use the law of perception? The idea that what affects through you can also have effects upon you. And how could you use that law so it could help you achieve your own goals?
Well, for me, having a positive perspective and a positive mindset brings positivity in my life.
Isn't it amazing?
Does that make sense? Mm-hmm.
Right? Is that Nakia?
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
I thought I recognized your voice. I don't get to see the box light up. So, I'll tell you what. You're right on the mark. It's like the idea that I always think we walk around like a giant magnet. So we attract to us what we are putting out there. And that's what you just described, isn't it? So it does work that way. And so now, is it possible that your perception of an event or something that's happening, you could choose to have your perception be that it's not a bad thing? And even though someone else might go, man, that's awful. You couldn't you? You could just, one of the lessons that we'll get to a little bit further into this talks about how we define things as good or bad. So stop defining them as bad. In everything, there's both. And so let's look for the good. Let's search for that. People are talking now about what's the good that's come out of COVID. I mean, there are some positives from this. Why don't we focus there? Because you could focus on all the negatives, and that'll just give you more of that. So you're right on the mark. So thank you. That's a great answer to that. Second question is this one. Based on this law, the law of perception, what would happen if you decided to believe that everyone was perfect, whole, and complete? So what if the way you saw everybody else was they're perfect, whole, and complete?
It will change the way that I interact with them.
It would, wouldn't it? Now, how would that change the way you interact?
Well, because we know we all have biases, But if we overcome those biases with saying, well, this person is perfect, whole, and complete, it will change the way I approach them.
Yeah.
And how I interact with them. I wouldn't be fearful or prejudgmental.
And, we have a bold law that says people grow into the conversations you create around them. So if you go into your conversation creating a great belief that everybody is perfect, whole, and complete, do you think you have different outcomes? It's really powerful how it starts to work together. So that's the other piece. So I love that's the connection you make because it's right on the mark. Right on the mark. So today's lesson is number 27. Just review again what we've talked about. I'm not going to read through these just because of time, I think, today. But lesson 26 was my attack thoughts are attacking my invulnerability. That was a little tough, at least for me, the first time through. So today, though, I've got my 27's multiples there. That was number 26. Today is number 27. Let's go to 27. And here it is. It's a real simple line. Above all else, I want to see. That's lesson 27. Above all else, I want to see. That says today's idea that above all else, I want to see expresses something stronger than mere determination. The idea that above all else, I want to see gives vision priority among your desires. So it gives vision priority among your desires. You may feel hesitant about using the idea on the grounds that you're not sure you really mean, that you really want to replace egoic seeing with true vision. Because if above all else I want to see, it's saying above everything. And your ego may fight this. Because remember, your ego's job is to protect you in this physical body here on earth, because that's its role. So it's going to question it. Now, it goes on to say this does not matter that you're unsure. So it doesn't matter if you're unsure in this. The purpose of today's exercise is to bring the time when the idea that you really want to replace egoic seeing with true vision will be wholly true a little nearer. So it's just bringing it closer. You don't have to have it clear. It's just bringing it a little bit closer. Now, there may be great temptation to believe that some sort of sacrifice is being asked of you when you say you want to see above all else. If you become uneasy about the lack of reservation involved because you think there needs to be a sacrifice, you may want to add this. Vision has no cost to anyone. Vision has no cost to anyone. And it's about having that vision. The second one is if fear of loss still persists, then add it one step further and say, vision can only bless. So those three statements are powerful, I think. Vision has no cost. If fear of loss still persists, add further that vision can only bless. Now, the idea for today, that above all else I want to see, needs many repetitions for maximum benefit. So for the lesson itself, this is going to be the most intense one we've asked of you. The idea for today that above all else I want to see should be used at least every half hour and more if possible during the time you're awake. You might try for every 15 or 20 minutes. It is recommended that you set a definite time interval between each of these exercises, using the idea that when you are awake or shortly thereafterwards, you attempt to adhere to that definite time interval as well. So tomorrow morning, and then keep that up until the time we're together for the next lesson. It will not be difficult to adhere to that definite time interval, even if you are engaged in conversation or otherwise occupied at the time. So I want to say that again, because this always intrigues me. It says it will not be difficult to adhere to that definite time interval, even if you're engaged in conversation or otherwise occupied at the time. You can still repeat one short sentence, that above all else I want to see, to yourself without disturbing anything. So you could just do it you can do it internally, even if you're involved in something else. But set an alarm, do something that whatever the intervals you choose to set for yourself would be. Now the real question is this: how often will you remember to repeat that sentence, that above all else I want to see, to yourself during your day? So how committed to it are you is really what we're asking. How much do you want today's idea that above all else I want to see to be true? Answer one of these questions and you have answered the other. So you will probably miss several applications and perhaps quite a number, meaning that you're going to miss whatever you're committed to on that. Do not be disturbed by missing several of the applications. However, do try to keep on your schedule from then on. So if you mess up, just get back on and attempt to stay on that schedule. If only once during the day you feel that you were perfectly sincere while you were repeating today's idea, that above all else I want to see, you can be sure that you have saved yourself many years of effort. Let me say that one again, because that's such a powerful one. If you, in doing this, that you discover, even just once, that you feel that, as you said, above all else, I want to see, that you were perfectly sincere while you were repeating that, you've just saved yourself many years of effort. So that's the power of this short statement. Now, above all else, I want to see just a couple quick notes about this. Lesson 27 is fairly straightforward, right? That's all. It's to say that. Above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see. First, realize that what you want is vision. That witnesses for the truth, not misperception, that is based on your beliefs in separation, limitation, and the belief that you are the body and the body is you. That's egoic, right? It's the physical piece is just it's the thing that carries you in this world today. When A Course in Miracles uses the term seeing, it's actually referencing the image-making process that produces the distorted world of private individual perception. That's a big statement. So seeing really is, it's the filter or the lens of which we see whatever it is that we see, and that then we hold that to be what we saw because it went through that filter. So the type of seeing is merely designed to confirm your ego's beliefs about your world. This is why A Course in Miracles refers to seeing as image making. Seeing is thought confirmation device that utilizes your physical senses to merely agree with what your ego believes already exists outside your mind. You know, I think about that. Have you had this experience, like you believe something to be so true, and then all day you're finding evidence to back it up? Like, oh, there it is again. Look at that. See, that's it. And your spouse, significant other, you know, someone you spend time with, could be in the same experience with you, but not seeing it like that. And they could be with you all day and say, I didn't see any of that. That's the ego working as in this realm of seeing. So it goes on to say the next idea of importance is that in order to obtain correct vision.
Sometimes, but mostly she just likes to wave at people.
Let's see, I'm going to mute. There we go. So the last, it says that the idea of importance is that let me read this correctly. So the next idea of importance is that in order to obtain correct vision, you need to have that as a priority. So it's got to be a priority for us. In an earlier lesson, we spoke of the need to have one unifying common purpose or one goal. When rediscovering the truth of who you really are becomes your number one priority, the means to obtaining that goal will be made available. Clarity of purpose needs to be obtained. Only when you know where you want to go does the decision of which direction to take become important. Prior to that decision, any direction is as good as another. So the third interesting point is the idea that multiple repetition of this idea, that above all else I want to see. We're going to ask that you use it like an affirmation. Many of you are probably familiar with affirmations. It's multiple repetition. That's what we're going to ask that you do. And you'll find that it's helpful in establishing whatever that new direction might look like. Now, when you first attempt to change a previous pattern or belief, your believability in the new idea will not be total. So you'll have questions. You'll have doubts. Yet simply by repeating an affirmation about what you desire in that new belief over and over and over again, it'll be helpful in creating the change in your belief. I think it was, who was it who said that the brain doesn't know the difference between truth or fiction, it only knows what you tell it. So telling it that above all else I want to see, you may not believe at first. Just keep telling it. It's like it's a seed that gets planted. And the ground doesn't care what seed gets planted. You plant corn in the ground, and what'll shoot up is a stalk of corn, and corn will nourish you. If you plant nightshade, which is a poison, nightshade will grow, and it's a poison. So it doesn't really matter. The earth doesn't care what you put in it. From that respect, it'll just germinate it and grow it. It's the same with these ideas. So put good ones, like above all else I want to see, and see what happens. By doing this, you're at least bringing into your consciousness awareness. You're bringing the awareness into your consciousness. Let me say that correctly. You're telling your mind that this new thought is something you desire, and your mind to move forwards. Total belief or full desire is not required to begin the process of change. Let me say that again. Total belief or full desire is not required to begin the process for change. Sometimes you need to fake it until you make it. When it comes to affirmations, repeating the idea within your mind is helpful, right? So above all else I choose to see, I might just say that to myself. That's a great starting spot. However, saying it out loud is even better. So saying it out loud is even better. And if you were to write it and say it out loud, it's even more powerful. So what you might choose to do, I don't know if you carry a journal or anything with you. With this, my intention is that every 20 minutes, I'm going to stop what I'm doing if I can. If I'm not in the middle of something where I need to just do mentally, I'm going to write it out. Above all else I choose to see, or I want to see, I should say, and I'm going to write it and say it. And that's, it says every 30 minutes there. I'm kicking it up to every 20 minutes. You might choose every 30. It's up to you. So writing it down and saying it out loud is the best way to really get it ingrained in your awareness, for lack of a better way to say it. So that's what I just want to show you here. Above all else, I want to see. Repeat it in your mind is good. Saying it out loud is better. Writing it down while repeating it is the best. So your mind sits up and takes notice when you're writing it and you speak it. When a goal is only oral, it remains an idle wish. So that's the writing it part, right? Because you're connecting the whole thing, both in the physical world and in the mental piece of what you're saying to yourself. So above all else, I want to see. What is it that you desire to see with your true vision? So this is about starting to uncover what your true vision may be. So that's the lesson. It's not complicated today. Some of them are more complicated, yet it's not. It's a powerful one. It's going to take some level of commitment to a system, I think, to remind yourself to do it. Does that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Above all else, I want to see. Above all else, I want to see. So any last thoughts or comments before we let you go about your day? All right, everyone. I'll tell you what. Thanks for being here. If you're in Bold Pivot, go update your numbers, right? Because that's that tracker, myboldcommunity.com. So please go do that. So that we've got that. We had Tori Wagner was on the leaderboard in our top 10 in the whole system as of last week. So we'll see if she holds her position, or maybe one of you takes it. So we will see you tomorrow morning, or if not before. So thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here.